This week on the WriterCon podcast.
Go through your first draft and cross out all the adjectives and adverbs. Just cross them out.
Welcome to WriterCon, a gathering place for writers to share their knowledge about writing and the writing world. Do you have a desire to write? Every successful writer started with their first book. All it takes is determination and knowledge, and WriterCon can provide that knowledge. Your hosts are #1 national best-selling writer William Bernhardt, author of more than 60 books, including The Superman Wars, and Lara Bernhardt, award-winning author of the Wantland File series and Shadow of the Taj.
Thank you, Jesse Ulrich. Hey there, writers. Thanks for joining us today. Lara, last time in the intro segment, we talked about what Jesse and I have been doing lately, but what about you? What have you done lately?
Well, actually, I had the opportunity to go up to New York City. I was on a quick weekend trip with a couple of my sisters. We met up with our youngest daughter, Madeline. We had a fantastic time. We saw several shows, and it was only mildly inhibited by the fact that it also coincided with the unseasonably cold Arctic blast that blew through the East Coast. So we were very cold, but we had a great time nonetheless. And then I had the opportunity to speak to the Norman Galaxy of Writers a few weeks ago. Actually, it was on Valentine's Day, and I talked about the heart of your story. Right. Great group of people, really had a fantastic time and thoroughly enjoyed it.
They thought you were terrific. And actually, you were. Speaking on getting to the heart of your story. Fantastic talk. All right. I am very excited about our interview today with the one and only Elliot S. Maggin. Elliot is the author of several novels and even more comic books. He was one of the premier writers for my favorite hero, Superman, back in the 70s. And then he wrote some Superman novels that were released in conjunction with the Christopher Reeve movies. His stories were a major influence on the character and have also been referenced in the movies. He has also worked in the worlds of gaming as a writer and made some forays into the world of politics. And we will talk to him about all that and much more. But first, the news. News story number 1. DNF shelves are coming to Goodreads. And just in case you didn't know, because I didn't, I had to look it up. DNF means did not finish. And this is on Goodreads, where people often post reviews of what they're reading and rank it. And, you know, I guess instead of just saying I liked it or I didn't like it, you could admit that you just didn't finish. So maybe you shouldn't be rating it since, you know, you didn't finish it. Anyway, we've all been there, right? You've bought more books than you can read. There's another one coming up that looks pretty yummy and you just skip ahead and do the other one. In fact, but I've noticed that even though I have never wanted or meant for this to happen, Goodreads is automatically tracking anything I read on my Kindle, you know, because it's all in the Amazon family. So I'll go to Goodreads, you know, for book purposes every now and see Bill is currently reading and it knows it. Even if it's something that I opened and looked at and said, nah, I'm not going to read that. It looks like that's what you're reading now, and at least until you start something else. So apparently now you can mark a book DNF, which means, I don't know, what do you think? That it wasn't as good as you hoped it would be, or it was kind of slow starting or something like that. It's an alternative to giving an actual review or rating. Lara, does this seem like a good idea to you?
Seems like a better alternative than giving a poor review. I have read quite a few reviews where the reviewer will say things like, just couldn't finish it, wasn't good. And it absolutely would dissuade me from even trying a book, and that could be good, could be bad. What if that book would have appealed to me more than that reader? Because we all like different things. So I think it could be good. I'm trying to think if I've actually committed to a book and started reading it. I don't know that I ever didn't finish, which
Seriously?
might
Never?
be a character flaw. Sometimes I will.
Don't you say that.
Punishing yourself.
Sometimes I just stick with it because I just, I don't know. I feel like I have to kind of know where it goes. And usually if I'm not liking it halfway through, by the end, I'm still like, nah, it just didn't come back for me. So
You gotta know. You gotta know how they end it. Again,
but still gotta know. Yeah, I think it would just weigh on me if I started
cut to
a
the
book
last
and
paragraph,
didn't finish it.
no, I think I assume I've told the listeners might know this because I feel like I tell the story because it's the only book I started and that did not finish, which was the second of Stephen King's The Dark Tower books. I can't remember which one the second one's called, but the beginning is just so, I don't know, weird and boring that I was like, you know what? Like I'm very patient with authors. I'm like, I will read incredibly long books that are multiple, again, I've read The Wheel of Time more than once. And that book,
That's devotion.
That's got some, there's entire books that are just like, ugh. But like there are small enough parts and interesting things to keep me together. But that one Stephen King book just like rubbed me the wrong way and I just stopped. But I've usually finish every other book. So it would be interesting to be like on my thing, being like, this is the one book you didn't finish, read at your own, your risk.
So after you didn't finish book 2,
I just thought of
did
one.
you skip ahead to book 3?
No, I asked a friend how it ended and he was like, disappointment. And I was like, all right. And then I never went back.
Yeah.
So you were
But
done
I'm not
with the
going to
dark?
say the title.
I was.
actually do have one that I didn't
Yeah, yeah.
finish.
What
But
was
I'm
that?
not going to say the title because I don't want to.
Oh.
I don't want to set off a bunch of people.
You're
but
such a nice person.
I read the first one.
Text it to
ran
me and I'll say
grabbed
it.
the second one. I will. I ran and grabbed the second one. I started reading it and I was like, "What the heck? No!" And
Ooh,
it
can Goodreads add a category of like won't even pick up? Like, and,
There we go.
And we all know who would be on that list. Be James Patterson.
Oh, ouch. But
Gotcha.
this recalls to me, Lara, I've shown you this on Amazon, you remember. It's for my young readers book, Equal Justice. But there's a review there that says, I did not mean to buy this book. I bought it by accident, so I didn't read it. 1 star.
Don't review that. You didn't even read it.
Yeah,
You don't
read
get
it.
to review
DNF
something
might
you
have
didn't
been
read.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, news story number 2. A new genre has appeared on the literary horizon. It's called Solarpunk.
Ooh.
So, Solarpunk, because maybe I'm not the only person who doesn't know any of these terms, but I didn't know this one either. It poses a fascinating question. What would a world that had seriously tackled climate change look like? Writer Adam Flynn wrote, and this is a quote, "We're solar punks because the only other options are denial or despair," end quote. Artists and activists have needed to envision ways to make life more wonderful for us right now, he continued to say, and more importantly, for the generations that follows us. Well, it turns out that there are a lot of science fiction writers who are deeply concerned about climate and are particularly weary of science fiction's tendency toward dystopian futures or post-apocalyptic yuckiness, nightmares and all. So they wanted to create art that pointed a way forward, which I have to admit I really like. So they set about creating fictional worlds that present a sustainable future. So we have books like Cory Doctorow's The Lost Cause and B.L. Blanchard's book, The Peacekeeper. Jesse, you are our resident science fiction expert. Have you read Solarpunk?
Well, I have before it was termed Solarpunk, but it's every Star Trek novel I've ever read.
Aw.
Right?
Well, that is a positive future.
Yeah. So no, I
Did
love
Earth
this.
deal with climate change in the Trek universe?
So a lot of times what they do is, this is like Star Trek's model where they
Can't
run
believe
into
there's an actual answer to this question, but
Yeah.
please continue.
No, I mean, like they always run into either cultures that are like farther behind than humanity or whatever as a metaphor for times in humanity's, history when we did and continue to do something stupid. So, Yeah, like, all of, the Earth of the Star Trek future is one that fixed the climate, right? And fixed poverty and fixed racism and fixed all these things. And and they still find ways to tell dramatic stories in that universe. So I love this. I don't need to read another Mad Max-esque Hunger Games type. I mean, there are good ones, but like, if you're not showing us what we could do to fix it and just showing us what's going to be wrong, that is, after a while, just gets very draining. So I'm all for this. This is great. I'm glad. It's a great term. I love a good marketing term.
It does sound cool. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Laura,
well done.
Anything to add?
It does sound appealing to me. I'm one of those people weary of the dystopian, post-apocalyptic outcomes. I like the idea of something positive.
Yeah,
and
look,
in
we
fact,
won.
It makes me think about, we watched Arco last night, and this would almost qualify because they were showing, like Jesse was describing in the Star Trek books, we visited a time when things weren't good, but we also got a glimpse of a better future. Now, they did not dive into what happened to make it better, but it just, sometimes you want that uplifting and encouraging outcome and ending, I think. And I do think, I'm actually intrigued. I think I'm going to look some of that up. Hi, baby. Hi.
Christopher has joined the podcast.
Yep. I mean,
we better cut to Craft Corner. Except Craft Corner this time is coming from...
Project manager is here.
From my co-host, the one and only lovely Lara. You don't want to be lovely, but I need alliteration. The laudable Lara. Or the Jesse, help me out here.
I like lovely, laudable Laura.
We'll do them all. Anyway, our own Lara Bernhardt. You remember that fantastic talk we talked about at the top of this episode? What? Well, I asked her if she could condense that to 3 minutes. And of course she did. So here is the shorter version of getting to the heart of the story.
Craft Corner.
Let's talk today about ensuring that your story engages your readers' hearts. Balancing logic and emotion can be really tricky. As writers, we rely on the left side of our brain for the logical parts of writing, plotting, outlining, making sure that our story is going to adhere to prescriptive grammar rules and style guide requirements. Then we get to let the creative side have fun when we're diving in and developing that story. Likewise, our characters need to behave in ways that are both believable, meaning logically, but also emotionally. And we all know what happens when our emotions get the best of us and we get carried away. So when you're building your character, you want to make sure that they are also messy, reflecting that human experience. Readers are going to connect to your story through your protagonist. That means that the readers need to like your main character and feel something for them. While we're constructing our characters, we use that analytical left side of our brains. We need to choose a character who will be perfect for the story, not just a random idea that we had, but a character who has a needed skill or who needs to resolve something and will be absolutely integrally linked with the story. But then how do we make sure that they are likable? Our readers need to be invested in what our characters want and want to see them succeed. We want our protagonist to feel like a friend, someone that you want to spend time with. How can we do that? Our characters can be kind, clever, especially talented, admirable, maybe committed to a cause, fighting for justice. Think about what you like in a person. Maybe they inspire you or make you laugh or make your life better in some way. That's what we want our readers to feel about our characters. Characters could also be the victim of circumstance, suffering from an illness or being mistreated or abused in some way, but I need to make sure to add that the character always needs to have agency. That is, that they're always working hard to try to improve their circumstance. They're not just kind of kicked back and letting things happen to them. Another way to engage your readers' hearts is to be sure to include a theme, something that they can connect with. Be subtle with it. Nobody likes to be hit over the head, but theme is a really good way to add some heart to your story. Something else you can do is to have a representative or significant object that's very important and emotionally tied to your character, and then something happens with them. It can even relate to the theme. For example, in Up, we have control versus acceptance and change versus wanting things to stay the same. And that grape soda pin is related to those. The main character hangs on to his grape soda pin until finally, eventually, at the end of the story, he realizes he needs to let go, and he gives it to the little boy and welcomes him into his club. He's finally going to be that grandfather figure that Russell so desperately needs. Things that you don't want to do: state the obvious or rely on cliche. Definitely think about literary devices, use the rhetoric, and make sure that your readers are not just reading because it's an intriguing and fun story, but because they are drawn in, they enjoy your characters, and they're emotionally invested in the outcome of the story.
Elliot S. Maggin, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Hi. How are you?
This is such a treat. I'm just delighted to have you here. Okay, traditional first question. If you could offer writers one piece of advice, what would it be?
It's always been go through your first draft and cross out all the adjectives and adverbs. Just cross them out. Death to all modifiers.
Yes, I don't think anyone's ever said that. I love it.
Yeah.
I would have added exclamation points, except in comic books, that doesn't work, right? You gotta have them. How did you get started in writing? Was that something you always wanted to do, or did it come later, or how'd that happen?
I mean, what I always wanted to do was be president, I think, but I
wish you were, but
me too.
I'm not eligible.
I keep thinking about that. I keep thinking I missed the boat somehow. I think in an alternate universe, I'm actually president somewhere.
Were you writing in college? You went to Columbia, right?
No, Brandeis first. Yeah,
Brandeis
undergraduate, and then Columbia. I wrote a term paper that for history class that included a comic book story, Green Arrow story, and I got a B+ on it, and I thought I deserved an A. I mean, B+ is a ridiculous grade for a term paper that has a comic book in it, right? I mean,
was he giving you grief because it was a comic book story, or
no? I mean, I even cleared it with him first, and I said, "You either get an A or an F if you do that. Give me a rationale." He said, "Well, we thought you were going to draw it too, and I can't draw."
Whoa.
But that story was eventually published, right? And it was a major turning point for Green Arrow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What can one man do, or something like that?
What can one man do, yeah.
Yeah.
They keep
you had him run for
reprinting
mayor,
which
right?
is nice. Yep.
He decides superheroing isn't enough, so he's going to run for mayor. I don't remember how it worked out. Does he win the election?
Well, he didn't in the comics. On television he did, I guess. Didn't he?
Oh,
I don't know.
You talking about the Arrow show? I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Was that sparked by your interest in politics? You mentioned that you feel like you missed the boat, and you think you should be president now, which sounds like a good
Well, I think I should have been president, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You actually ran for office a couple times, right?
I did.
And were very involved in Democratic politics, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It's apparently a hobby. I thought it was going to be a vocation, but apparently not.
Yeah. Was Green Arrow kind of sparked by that interest? Did you include
Yes, definitely.
things that happened to you within that?
Yeah, the point of the story in my term paper was to show that comic books could be used as a political tool. And
Brilliant.
yeah, and they apparently liked it enough to give me a B+, but I wasn't satisfied.
But
So I
DC
sent
liked
it to
it
Carmine
more.
Infantino. Huh?
Who picked it up?
Julie
Bought
Schwartz
it?
did.
Yeah.
Carmine, I sent it to Carmine. Carmine didn't really read anything. He drew pictures. So he gave it to Julie, and Julie didn't have time to read it. And he said to Neil Adams, hey, read this. Tell me what it's about. And Neil said, okay, I'm not going to do that. And Julie said, okay, take it with you. And he said, okay, what am I going to do with it? He says, read it and tell me about it tomorrow. And Neil said, no, I'm not going to do that. And then he came in the next day and said, if you buy this, I'll draw it. So that's how it got published.
Wow. Well, Julie loved the script too, right? He said.
Yeah, he did.
It was one of the greatest things he'd ever seen. In his how long? 40 years at DC or something like that?
He'd been there for 35, I think, at that point. Yeah.
At that point, yeah.
Yeah.
So then you started writing for probably several comic companies, including DC, right?
Well, mostly DC. I mean, Julie kept me pretty busy. Every once in a while, I got mad at him because he ran out of scripts to buy. So, one time I had a big argument with him. I had arguments with him all the time, and we were like street kids from the same neighborhood, you know. Although he was older than my father. Yeah. And I called up Stan Lee and I said, I want to meet with you in your office. He says, okay, like a grown up.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Wow, not bad.
Wow.
So we met in the office and I said, I need 4 books a month because Julie's mad at me. And he said, you can have a Spider-Man story. So I wrote a Spider-Man story.
Oh.
That's great. Yeah. But of course, me being on the panel and with this book coming out, I'm going to ask about Superman. You wrote one of the pivotal, you wrote a lot of Superman stories, but the pivotal one I'm about to talk to, which was included in the greatest Superman stories of all time, is Must There Be a Superman?
That was my first Superman story.
Yeah,
the
really?
First one. It explained what I wanted to do with Superman, which is cool.
Mm-hmm. How did that come about?
Julie just leaned over his desk. He said, you think you're ready to write a Superman story? And I said, yeah, I lied. I didn't think I was, but I did.
But you always say yes and then figure it out.
Yeah, I was 20. You can't write a Superman story when you're 20. But it came out okay. So
it turned out to be one of the best ever. Often reprinted and referenced, sort of, in Zack Snyder's Batman versus Superman, right? Can you tell that story? When because you weren't notified.
Yeah.
In advance,
who's the guy?
Right?
Who's the TV host? Charlie Rose.
Yeah.
He was interviewing somebody, and about Superman being out of town for a long time. And he looks at the camera very pregnantly and he says, must there be a Superman? Like he made it up, It really pissed me off. What pissed me off was not that he said it, but it was that they didn't thank me at the end.
Yeah, it was an obvious name drop. It was a name drop for fans, but you didn't get a credit at the end, right?
I didn't. Yeah. And I still haven't. I don't know why. I looked at the last Superman movie and I said, okay, I'm not in this list, but this list, it's like inkers.
Everybody's on at the end of those credits for the apparently not everybody. Wow.
Apparently somebody took my name out. That's what it looked like to me.
Justice
I don't know
for
why.
Elliot.
Yeah. Let's start a movement.
Yeah, that's what I say.
And in addition
for my work
to the many comic book stories, you also wrote what I think were the first Superman novels in like 40 years, right?
Yeah.
In conjunction with the Christopher Reeve movies.
Yeah.
Last Son of Krypton and Miracle Monday, right? How did that come about?
I think I mentioned offhand to Jeanette at some point that what I really wanted to do was write novels. She says, "Oh, well, let's think about that." And I wrote a treatment for a Superman movie in '74, I think it was.
Wow.
I said, it's time to do a Superman movie. So I took the treatment upstairs. 2 stories upstairs was Warner Books. And I said, can we do this? And Kathy Malley, my editor, she looked at it. She said, okay. And she gave me this $2,000 advance to do a novel and forgot about it. And then I showed up 3 months later with a novel.
That she remembered.
Wow, 3 months.
I pretty much starved during that 3 months because
That was cool. I remember at the time, though, because I don't think they did an official novelization of the movie. So
No.
here were your 2 novels, which were fantastic.
Well, the idea was they were going to bring out Last Son of Krypton between the first 2 movies, and Mario Puzo had the rights to do the novelization of the movies.
Oh, I see.
And everybody gets pissed at everybody,
I've noticed
doesn't make
that.
sense. But he wanted his son, Gene, to do the novel. And then he had a falling out with the Salkins, and nobody did a novel, but he kept the rights to do it. So they brought my book out before they were going to.
I bet that was, especially since they didn't use your treatment. I mean, why have a movie written by somebody who knows Superman inside out? Let's get the Godfather guy to do it.
I asked him. I said, how do you get to be a big, hot screenwriter in Hollywood? He says, write a bestseller and have them call you. Yeah, you really can't do it through the front door.
Yeah,
and that's what happened to him.
Man. Okay,
Also
here's what I
not an
remember
easy
best.
Option, though.
Huh?
Not an easy option, though.
No, it's not. The 2 Superman novels were bestsellers because they're movie tie-ins. I assume because they're movie tie-ins. And I don't have to I've been trying to do that trick ever since. I've been writing books and trying to, trying to make them sell.
Have another bestseller, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what I remember best about your Superman novels. You managed to work Albert Einstein into the Superman origin story, which I thought was brilliant. It makes sense. Jor-El's this great scientist. Is he just going to shoot his kid off in space randomly? No, he's going to send him to somebody smart.
Yeah. Yeah, from a planet that was ruled by scientists, essentially. So Jor-El's assumption was going to be the best person to raise my son is the greatest scientist in the world.
That's brilliant.
Krypton's probably 250 light years from Earth. So he would have to have programmed it somehow into the works of the navigation system, but I didn't go into that kind of detail. I did say that Superman was orbiting Antares, which is a red giant star 228 light years from Earth, and they changed that somehow. Apparently somebody decided that no, we don't want it to be Antares. We want it to be this obscure planet, this obscure star somewhere closer by. But Antares was a good choice, I thought.
Makes sense to me. And somehow just to make everybody feel, secure, the young child does go from Einstein to the Kents at some point, right?
Yeah, Einstein, in his wisdom, realizes that at the age of 68 at the time, he couldn't raise an alien child, so he found a nice couple.
Yeah, very good.
So sweet.
One of the other things beyond your amazing writing that people recall is that your name always appeared Elliot S. Maggin, except instead of a period, the S had an exclamation point, as it should for a comics writer. How did that come about?
It was a typo.
Seriously?
Liked it. Yeah. I wrote an exclamation mark in the credits at some point on some story in like 72 or 73, something like that, early. And Julie liked it, and he got all excited, and he went to the production room and he said, From now on, Elliot's name will be punctuated with an exclamation mark, not a period. So. After a while, so. I kind of put it, I adopted it into my life. I opened checking accounts with an exclamation mark, credit cards. Yeah, nobody cared. That's how my name is spelled.
The best things come about by accident sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, we've done a lot of brags here, but I think this might be your crowning achievement or crowning recognition or something. I can see your puzzled expression. You're wondering what I'm going to come up with.
Yeah.
You are actually a character in the DC universe, right?
Right.
Like you're there.
I'm there.
That you were in 2 issues of Justice League. Am I right?
I was.
How did that happen? Yeah.
Well, you remember Night of the Reaper, Batman story? Really good Batman story.
Yes.
Halloween story. Mm-hmm. And all my friends got in the story, and I started in the business right after Denny had written it. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't in it, and I was kind of jealous. I went up to Rutland the following year with everybody, but nobody wrote a story about it. The MacGuffin was Al Weiss's Star of David. If you remember the story, I don't know.
Not as well, but those Rutland, I mean, they're just in a parade. You were like an actual character in the story, right?
Yeah,
much better.
Yeah. People were putting their names into stories, and people were putting their friends into stories. And Carrie and I were talking about Carrie Bates, and I were talking about it one day, and we decided I don't like that. It's too much. We should go way over the top, make ourselves major characters. One of us should be the hero. One of us should be the villain, and nobody will ever do it again. And we hadn't heard of Grant Morrison at that time.
Right.
And so we put ourselves in stories. We flipped a coin. Gary got to be the villain with the costume, and I was the guy who rescued the Justice League. And and we thought the reason we did it was because it was stupid, and
fun.
So fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
You're a DC.
But we wrote. When Carrie and I wrote together, he wrote scene descriptions and I wrote dialogue, and it went really fast. It always went really fast because that was our particular facility. So I think the second story, the one in Justice League 124, we wrote that in like an hour and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a record.
Impressive.
It was like between 9 and 10:30 one morning, and then we handed it in at noon. So we thought both stories together, we thought they were stupid. We meant for them to be stupid. And we got more fan mail on those 2 stories than either of us had ever gotten on anything. Wow. I mean, I got a stalker. Girl from New Orleans started. It was weird.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
Okay.
It was all right. I mean,
sounds out there.
My wife threw out all her correspondence. Didn't want me to even see it. It's weird.
All right.
I have to start watching the mail a little bit more clearly. Well, yeah, you're a DC character.
Yeah.
You don't need to be president. Who needs it?
That is cooler, I gotta say.
I need to be president.
Can you talk about your work in gaming?
In gaming?
Yeah.
Huge industry now.
Yeah. Nothing ever got out the door. I worked for Atari for maybe 3 years. Came up with a concept called Timegate, which was the idea was we were gonna come up with a story a month, a Justice League story. And the conceit was that the kid playing the game on a modem would be one of 3 people that the Justice League satellite got in touch with when there was a terrible emergency that had to be coordinated from Earth. And one thing after another, somebody would steal all the artwork in the world. The Statue of Liberty, the Mona Lisa, the Mount Rushmore, whatever. And that was one story. And they bought it. They went for it. They were gonna do it, and they kept changing marketing directors.
Yes.
And finally, the company went out of business. But it was fun. Pretty much, we invented interactive fiction. I don't think anybody had done it before. But the problem was there wasn't an installed base of modems.
Right.
That was sufficient.
Yeah.
So
you were just ahead of your time.
Yeah. In the Luther book, though, Luther created TimeGate, and it was at the same period of time, but he marketed it himself, and that was how he made his first money. He managed to, I keep telling people, I can send you an email, and if you answer it or if you open it, I can get into your hard drive. I know how to do that. So
for real?
don't answer email from me.
Okay. Noted.
Yeah. No, that's all right. I don't use my powers for evil. Lex does. So he would, there was a small number of modems installed, and at that time, CEOs and very rich people were using their kids' computers, the same computers as their kids, because there wasn't any problem with it. You remember War Games?
The movie, yeah.
The movie,
Yes.
yeah. Matthew Broderick, it was Matthew Broderick, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. He got into a Defense Department computer because they had a modem.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Huh.
Wow.
So Lex did that, and he was doing a lot of insider trading at the beginning of his career. He thought that wasn't interesting enough, so he branched out to become a menace. That's the story.
And that Luthor novel you're talking about, that's LexCorp, right?
Yeah.
Which is available now.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to check that out.
I think they should.
Yeah, me too.
Never mind.
Something else I've got to mention, because for my next book, I've been taking a deep dive into Bill Finger, but you actually received the coveted Bill Finger Award, which is given for a substantial body of work in the comics world, right?
Yeah.
That must have been a treat.
It was fun. And I got to give a speech.
Yeah. And people had to listen, right? So.
And people had to listen because they were eating. It was like dinner theater.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it was fun. That was a good award. It still is. They give it to somebody who's alive and somebody who's dead.
Right.
Each year.
Well, that was Jerry Robinson's idea, right? Because he knew Finger never got the attention he deserved.
And they were buddies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jerry Robinson was a good guy.
Agreed. I got to meet him briefly once too, and it was a treat.
Yeah.
Working on anything now? Anything you want to talk about or brag about or anything?
My daughter wants me to do an autobiography, so I'm about 50,000 words in.
So now you got 2 copies sold.
Okay.
I think that would be fascinating. You've got all those DC stories. You knew Siegel and Schuster personally, and
I did.
Was part of the PR contingent to get them a pension in 1975, and have a terrific body of stories, which I could go on about for a long time, but we probably better wrap this up. Elliot, this has been a real treat. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
I would say good to meet you, but apparently I've done that before. I didn't know that.
That's right.
All right.
Bye now.
Be good. Stay in touch. Let me know when this is going to air. See you soon.
Just a few parting words, because I think the feline project manager is telling us we've been recording long enough. But at the end of that interview, you heard Elliot Maggin refer to seeing someone and forgetting about it or something like that. Let me explain the story. When I talked to him on the phone a couple weeks ago, setting this interview up, I said, "Hey, I met you at the San Diego Comic-Con and you autographed a book for me." And I was really touched. And he said, "Oh, that wouldn't have been me. I wasn't there." But I have the receipts. So before we did the interview, I showed him the book because I've still got it, the autographed back in 1991. Get this, about 5 months before my own first book would be published. Anyway, that's what
sweet.
he's referring to. The WriterCon Retreat is coming up. Small group work with Lara and I and 3 other people. That'll be July 15th through the 19th. And of course, the WriterCon conference every year is Labor Day weekend, which this year is September 4 through 7. We're going to have more than 100 sessions, more than 30 speakers. Did I say 30? More than 60 speakers and more agents than we've ever had before, contests and so much fun. Put it on your calendar and let's see if we can't take your writing up to the next level, all right? To learn more about it, go to writercon.com. All right, until next time, keep writing, and remember, you cannot fail if you refuse to quit. See you next time.